Daddy,
Yes.
may I ask you a question?
No.
Is the respiratory system most important system and why?
Your mother is more important than any other systems.
Why the lungs are found in the chest cavity?
It's the same like the eyes on the head.
Good morning, grade 8 students. Today, me and my classmates, which are Tatiana, Judy, Dalal, Moudi, and Bahar, will be interviewing Dr. Muna about the diseases of the respiratory system.
Good morning, doctor. Hope you're having a good day. Today, we would like to ask you some questions about the respiratory system diseases.
Good morning, Judy, and thank you for having me. I hope the information will be useful to you.
What are the diseases of the respiratory system?
Okay. There are many diseases of the respiratory system. We can basically divide them into two main groups, the acute and the chronic. Acute diseases are diseases of sudden onset, and these usually are infections such as viral infections like influenza or bacterial infections like pneumonia. The chronic diseases, on the other hand, are diseases that have been going on for a long time, and these include asthma and COPD, which is the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. We also have a third category, which are the genetic diseases, and an example is the cystic fibrosis.
How can we avoid these diseases?
Okay, some of these diseases can be avoided, while others are difficult to avoid. The main factor that affects the respiratory system in a negative way is smoking. The best thing for everyone is to avoid smoking, either passive or active. Active smoking is when you smoke yourself, and the passive smoking when somebody else nearby smoke and you are inhaling the smoke. That also will have a very negative effect on your respiratory system. So that's the main factor that everybody should avoid, smoking. Other things include washing your hands regularly to be away from germs, covering your nose and your mouth when you sneeze or you cough, just to avoid spreading the germs, staying away from dust and fumes and chemicals, try not to inhale them, and having your house cleaned regularly to get rid of all the dust and all the small, let's say, insects or things that might affect your respiration. Also, sometimes it's good to wear a mask if you are going to probably deal with some chemicals or fumes. It's better to have a mask. That's the main thing. There is one thing that's quite specific to Kuwait or to the Gulf region, that is using the bukhur. Inhaling the smoke of the bukhur is also harmful. So it's better not to have it on and inhale the smoke. It's better to probably keep it on in the room and go away and then come back later when the smoke is gone.
How many organs are in the respiratory system?
The respiratory system actually has many organs. It starts from the mouth or the nose, where you start breathing. It goes to the sinuses, and then back to the throat, or what we call the pharynx, and then the larynx, and then the trachea. And then the trachea branches into two bronchi, the right and the left, and then each one will be divided into a number of bronchioles, and then the alveoli. So if you look at this picture here, it shows you the respiratory system. It starts here in the mouth or the nose, goes back to the throat or the pharynx, and then the larynx, and then the trachea, which divides into the two bronchioles, into the lungs, and then the small alveoli, which make the lung tissue.
Where is the respiratory system found in our body?
The respiratory system is in the upper half of the body. As we said earlier, it starts in the mouth or the nose, and it goes into the chest, and then it ends up at the lower, the upper half of the abdomen. It stops there.
Name the different structure of the respiratory system.
Okay, the respiratory system, as well as the different parts that we mentioned earlier, which is starting from the mouth and the nose and going to all the way down to the lungs. We also have the sinuses, which are hollow structures in the face itself in the skull, and these are responsible to regulate the temperature and the humidity of the air. When you take in the air, it goes into the sinuses before going inside your body. Another thing is that the bronchial tubes, they are lined with cells called the cilia. These are responsible to move back and forth, trying to carry the mucus out of the body. And the mucus is this thick substance that try to get rid of all the, let's say, all the germs, all of the foreign bodies that try to get into your body. This mucus try to stick to it and get it out of your body. Of course, as we said, when we go into the lungs, we have two lungs, the right and the left. The right lung is quite bigger than the left lung. It has 3 lobes, while the left lung has 2 lobes. And then each lobe is filled with small sacs, which are the alveoli. And these are responsible for oxygen exchange in the body. The last part will be the muscles of respiration, and these are the intercostal muscles between the ribs and the diaphragm at the end of the lungs. These are the muscles of respiration.
How it is important? How does it help our body?
The main thing when you take a breath is to deliver oxygen to the body. All your organs need oxygen to function properly. And when you breathe, you inhale oxygen, and when you exhale, you get rid of the carbon dioxide, which is the waste, let's say, waste of the cells. By doing that, you are delivering oxygen to your different organs, and that allows them to function properly. And when you exhale, you get rid of the carbon dioxide, which is the waste, and that you don't need to keep it in your body. You have to get rid of it so you can have a healthy organs.
What is the important organ in the respiratory system and why?
Well, we cannot say one organ is the most important. All of them are important, but the main organ are the lungs. These are the let's say the huge organs of respiration, and they are responsible for the oxygen exchange.
And why? Describe the function of the respiratory system.
The main function of the respiratory system is respiration, and we want to get as much as oxygen into the body and get rid of the carbon dioxide. I will show you a small video which will demonstrate the different steps in the respiration process.
Air enters the body through the mouth or nose and quickly moves to the pharynx or throat. From there, it passes through the larynx or voice box and enters the trachea. The trachea is a strong tube that contains rings of cartilage that prevent it from collapsing. Within the lungs, the trachea branches into a left and right bronchus. These further divide into smaller and smaller branches called bronchioles. The smallest bronchioles end in tiny air sacs. These are called alveoli. They inflate when a person inhales and deflate when a person exhales. During gas exchange, oxygen moves from the lungs to the bloodstream. At the same time, carbon dioxide passes from the blood to the lungs. This happens in the lungs between the alveoli and a network of tiny blood vessels called capillaries, which are located in the walls of the alveoli. Here you see red blood cells traveling through the capillaries. The walls of the alveoli share a membrane with the capillaries. That's how close they are. This lets oxygen and carbon dioxide diffuse or move freely between the respiratory system and the bloodstream. Oxygen molecules attach to red blood cells, which travel back to the heart. At the same time, the carbon dioxide molecules in the alveoli are blown out of the body the next time a person exhales. Gas exchange allows the body to replenish the oxygen and eliminate the carbon dioxide. Doing both is necessary for survival.
what two diseases that could result in the COPD?
COPD refers to chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, and it mainly consists of two diseases: the chronic bronchitis and emphysema. Some people would add chronic asthma as well, but that's not standardized. The standardized two diseases that compose the COPD are emphysema and chronic bronchitis. These two share some symptoms such as coughing, bringing up mucus, a lot of mucus actually, shortness of breath, chest tightness, and usually a lot of people have both diseases together. That's why they call them COPD together.
What diseases that may damage the alveoli?
As we said earlier, the alveoli are the small sacs that compose the lungs, and these are where the oxygen exchange happens. There are a number of diseases that can affect the alveoli. The first one is pneumonia, which is infection of the lung, and usually it can destroy these alveoli. Also, there is a specific type of infection called tuberculosis, or what we call it a TB, and this is a serious infection of the chest. Also, as we said earlier, emphysema, which is part of the COPD, that also affects the elasticity of the alveoli, so they don't expand and relax as they should do. Also, we have a condition called pulmonary edema, and this is when fluid start draining into the lung. So it will start filling the alveoli. So instead of having the alveoli full of air or full of oxygen, part of the space will be occupied by fluid, and that will reduce the function of the alveoli. Of course, we have the lung cancer. There are so many types of the lung cancers. Some of them would affect the alveoli as well. There is also something called ARDS, which is acute respiratory distress syndrome, and this is also a sudden and severe condition that affects the lungs. Usually it happens due to different reasons, such as sepsis or organ failure, and some other, probably it also can result from accidents. At the end, what happens is that also again fluid will start filling the alveoli. They won't function properly. Oxygen exchange won't happen properly, and oxygen won't be delivered to the organs, and that can result in multi-organ failure.